guy?
Clearly, I have no idea who you're following.
Make yourself happy. Tell me.
John clearly still didn't get how bad things really were. He even tried to flaunt his connections to threaten Tom. If he wasn't let go right then, everyone linked to Tom would get hunted down.
Fuck you!
He didn't give a damn about the drug dealer's money. He'd snatch John to find the missing girl.
All of this is for a girl. No one kills 3 people to sell a woman. No one.
But John kept his mouth shut tight. Even if he got killed, he wouldn't tell who was behind it. Tom didn't want to waste more time on this creep, so he cut the rope without a second thought.
Fuck you! Okay, we're done.
Through a buddy's tip, Tom hit up a secret bar to buy info. He pulled out a stack of cash, made his reason for being there clear. The snitch handed over a huge piece of information. The day Lucy went missing, she'd gone to a local nightclub for a dinner party. The place's owner was in on illegal human trafficking. Tom chased the lead and tracked down the bartender went for a weapon right away, but it was too late.
You're adventure, kid.
What's your point? I told the cops. Ran out.
Tom shoved him into the bathtub, made him feel what it's like to suffocate.
Your mind is in the bathtub. But it's just a wet towel. Your dream is your heart race. Should have got more air. Nervous system tells you that you're drowning.
Gang members started dropping one after another. Tom caught the attention of the gang leader, saw the killer's moves on the security cam. This was a slap in the gang's face, and he'd never let anyone mess with his territory. Tom found a couple of mafiosi beating up one of his co-workers. He picks up a nearby metal bucket and takes them out in 3 tries. The mafia members hold a grudge and decide to take revenge on Tom. Tom's girlfriend goes to a bar with her friends to spend time after work. This bar is the territory of the mafia, so the mafia kidnapped her. After Lucy disappeared, Tom was very anxious. He came to the bar looking for news of Lucy. Under Tom's threat, the bartender told him the location of the mafia boss Jack's house and took all of Jack's money, disguised as a home invasion. When Jack realized the money was gone, he was furious. He didn't realize Tom had infiltrated his mansion. After taking out the bouncer, he grabbed Jack and asked where Lucy was. Jack had no idea what Tom was asking, so he died in the pool. Shortly afterward, Jack's uncle Kyle arrives. Kyle is the richest and most powerful man in the mafia. It was he who kidnapped Lucy and sold her to someone else. Can Tom stand up to this mafia organization?
Man in a suit gets grabbed by the collar. That's usually when the hospital starts printing admission slips.
5 seconds to move your hand.
As the unofficial spokesperson for the orthopedic ward, Franco uses his slick moves to personally deliver a few new patients. Frank, the legendary transporter, has been out of commission lately due to illness. That night, just as he's about to mix up some cold medicine, a car crashes right through his bedroom wall. Frank is stunned. It's his apprentice behind the wheel, badly injured from the crash. Frank quickly calls an ambulance, and medics arrive to carry him out. But then Frank notices a girl in the passenger seat. She tells him that both she and the driver are wearing explosive wristbands. If they stray too far from the vehicle, they'll blow up. Without hesitation, Frank gives chase, but it's already too late. His apprentice is dead. Frank returns to find answers, but gets ambushed and knocked out. When he wakes up, his shirt is open. His wrist is shackled with an explosive bracelet, and the crime boss, John, is already in the room. John tells Frank, your apprentice wasn't good enough. Now it's your turn. Frank doesn't want to drive for this guy, but after seeing how ruthless John is, he has no choice but to accept. On one condition, he drives his own car. John agrees and modifies Frank's Audi A8 with sensors. If Frank gets more than 75 feet away from the vehicle, the bracelet will explode. To make things worse, John won't even tell Frank what's in the trunk, and he insists that Frank bring the same girl along. It's like a live-action Grand Theft Auto mission. Get to one destination, and then he'll tell you the next. During the drive, Frank asks the girl, her name is Tina, what's really going on? She stays silent. Seeing this, Frank takes matters into his own hands and detours to his friend's repair shop to try and disable the car's sensors, but John's men find them almost immediately. Soon, Frank is surrounded, but he couldn't be happier. Another round of new patients for the orthopedic hospital. The whole one man can't fight many cliche? Not here. Frank single-handedly beats the crap out of every last thug. Somewhere in the chaos, Frank transforms from suited gentleman into shirtless powerhouse. This man really is unstoppable. By the time one song finishes playing, none of the enemies are even conscious. Guy's no ordinary man, though his job interview was a total disaster. During firearms testing, he couldn't hit a single shot inside the target rings. During physical fitness testing, he gave out after just a few reps. When it came to the driving exam, he even backed the van straight into a stack of boxes. And yet somehow, his barely passable results earned him a high-paying job as a cash transport guard. He hadn't even settled into his new role when a crew of armed robbers attacked. They hijacked his team leader and demanded the crew toss all the cash into the back of a pickup. One of Harris's co-workers panicked and tried to drive off, but Harris stayed calm. He said money's just material, but a teammate's life must be saved. He played along, handing over the money bag by bag, but then he accidentally dropped one on the ground. An angry robber stormed over to steal it. That's when everything flipped. Harris suddenly transformed into a one-man kill machine. One shot, one kill. The robbers didn't even have time to unlock their safeties before their heads exploded from point-blank fire. Even those attacking from afar couldn't rattle. He reloaded calmly, waited for them to finish their volley, then casually adjusted his belt and opened fire with relentless precision. The remaining robbers fled in terror. Harris, he just walked after them like it was nothing. When it was all over, his pinpoint accuracy stunned his co-workers into silence. But instead of fleeing the scene, Harris knelt down to remove the masks from the dead robbers. He was searching for something. His ruthless efficiency quickly drew the attention of law enforcement and triggered alarms at company HQ. HR wanted to suspend him, but other management stepped in. After all, cash transport trucks get attacked all the time. A man like Harris, he was exactly the kind of high-end asset they needed to protect their money. Soon, another robbery struck, but this one was different. The robbers sprayed black paint across the windows, blinding everyone inside, then tossed in smoke grenades. The suffocating fog forced Harris to exit the vehicle. They ordered him to lie down, but the second their leader saw his face, he froze in shock and ordered his men to retreat immediately. It was clear this man wasn't some average cash guard. He was something far more dangerous.
Man's name is Jason and he's a retired agent. Now he's working as a high-speed courier. As long as the client pays, he gets the job done. To ensure the boy's safety, Jason drove the car to the destination, but suddenly a group of men surrounded the car and took the boy. The leader called the boy's father, demanding $5 million in cash, and said it had to be delivered to a specific location within 2 hours. After saying that, he tossed the phone into the water. Then he pointed a gun at Jason and told him to leave. That's when Jason realized the boy had been kidnapped. As he pretended to leave, he spotted a remote-controlled bomb in the car. After driving away, Jason slammed the gas pedal to the floor and launched the car into the air a second before the trigger was pressed. That's how Jason narrowly escaped the blast. He then called the boy's father, trying to get him to inform the police about the kidnappers' movements, but the father thought Jason had betrayed them, so he kept cursing at him. Jason got angry and threw the phone away. Looks like he had to rescue the boy on his own. He remembered everything started at the hospital. If he could find the security footage, he could trace the kidnappers. He copied the suspect's photo and sent it to a sheriff he was on good terms with, asking him to help identify the criminal. He then found the syringe, wanting to see what was inside, but a rushing officer shot it and shattered it. Furious, Jason decided to teach them a lesson. After dealing with them, Jason got a call from the sheriff. After learning the location of the kidnappers' hideout, Jason rushed to the scene. He quickly pinned the suspect down, pulled out an identical syringe, and jabbed it straight into the man's leg. But the guy thought it was the original drug, and ran off toward a specific location. Meanwhile, the boy's father dropped off the $5 million at the agreed spot. No one came to pick it up, but the boy was released safely. Unbeknownst to them, the robbers were watching everything they did. To investigate the drug's formula, Jason followed the suspect to a research facility. To save his life, the researcher told the truth, then immediately threw 2 vials of antidote out the window. Jason rushed forward to catch the antidotes. I was a master assassin. He took his apprentice Jack to meet with an arms dealer, told him they wanted to buy some weapons. While the dealer was distracted, he grabbed him by the neck and choked him out, then hung his body on the door, making it look like a suicide. This was Jason giving Jack a little hands-on lesson. After that, he gave Jack a new mission. First, Jack had to approach a 2-meter tall hitman at a cafe. Since Jack wasn't from the business, the hitman wouldn't suspect a thing. Jason told Jack to invite the guy out for drinks at a bar, then slip something into his drink. That way the job would be nice and clean. But Jack had other ideas. He thought he could take care of it just like Jason would. The hitman invited Jack over to his place to hang out. Jack tried to choke him when he wasn't paying attention, but the hitman was way too strong. He easily broke free. In the end though, Jack waited for the right moment, and managed to take him down. Meanwhile Jason got a call from the boss, and got assigned a brand new target. This time it was a guy named Tom. Jason and Jack set up surveillance at the hotel where Tom was staying. They watched his every move, and when Tom was finally alone in his room, they snuck in through the air vents, took him out, then hid behind the mirror. But Jack messed up. A screw slipped from his hand, and a bodyguard heard the noise. Jason started firing without hesitation, and jumped out the window. He had rigged up a quick safety device, grabbed Jack, and they both leapt down together. In the end they managed to escape. Jason and Jack split up to head home separately to avoid getting caught, but at the station, Jason saw a familiar face. It was one of the hitmen he thought he had already killed. He remembered the boss said all 5 hitmen were supposed to be dead, so why was there one still alive? Jason confronted the guy. The hitman admitted that the boss had ordered him to kill the other 4 and frame it on Harry. Before he could say anything else, the hitman attacked. But Jason was one of the best in the business. It didn't take long for him to finish the guy off. Jason realized that now that he knew the truth, the boss would never let him lie. Right then Jack called. He was surrounded by assassins. Jason told him there was a weapon hidden just to the left of the couch. Jack, having learned from the best, took down the killers with ease. Just as he was about to leave, Jack noticed a weapon that belonged to his father. That was when he finally realized Jason was the one who had killed his dad. As a bodyguard, one day a new client walks in. He's already heard all about Jason's reputation, wants to hire him as a personal bodyguard, just to hit the casino and have some fun. The payment is 500 grand. Jason doesn't hesitate and takes the job. Once they get to the casino, Nick gets lucky right away, and starts winning. Jason watches and starts getting tempted. He can't hold back the urge anymore, heads straight for the table, and out of nowhere Jason turns into a gambling god, wins hand after hand. He gets more confident and starts betting big. A crowd starts gathering around him. In no time he racks up 200 grand. He grabs his chips ready to cash out, but something inside tells him to keep going. His mind hesitates for just a moment, then he walks back to the table with zero doubt. This time he pushes all his chips in. He holds his breath, stares at the final card, but luck doesn't always stay on your side. Just like that he loses everything. Jason's filled with regret, wondering why he had to play that last hand. He drowns his frustration in a drink, until he gets distracted by a couple arguing behind him. He walks up, grabs the woman and tries to walk off. The guy steps in and tries to talk it out. Jason ignores him, rips the guy's wig off, starts talking trash. The woman sees how crazy Jason is, grabs her man and tries to leave. The guy walks away with her, while Jason's still yelling behind them. But outside the bar, Jason actually follows them. The guy's had enough, puts the woman in the car, then walks straight up to Jason, drops him with 2 quick punches. The woman watches in awe, then jumps out the car, and hugs the guy like a hero. The next day the guy shows up excited, tells Jason he did great, says he totally got the girl now, then hands Jason $1,000. Turns out the whole thing was a setup. Jason's just a bodyguard for hire. Later Jason's chilling with a cup of coffee, when a bunch of big guys suddenly show up. He instantly knows something's off, quickly slips out the back, jumps down onto a platform, and gets into a brawl with the thugs. Turns out they're enemies of his last client, and they came looking for payback. Jason decides he needs to lay low for a while, but just as he's about to leave, he unexpectedly runs into Nick. This is how a top assassin works. He removes the tiles from the bathroom, pours shower gel all over the floor, throws away the bottle and opens the shower curtain. Then he drags his target into the bathroom, makes him kneel on the floor, takes out a hammer with tiles on it, and delivers a blow to the back of his target's head. The next day the news reports an accidental death from slipping. The man who causes the accident is named Jason. He's a retired hitman. He chose to retire because he unknowingly killed a girl's father in front of her. Seeing the blood-covered girl, Jason thought it was too cruel, so he decided to live a peaceful life life in the countryside with his girlfriend, but the unexpected soon arrived. One day he received a photo. It showed his best friend Nick had been kidnapped. Nick was Jason's best friend during his career, and even saved his life on one occasion. So when Jason saw this message, he was furious. To rescue Nick, Jason went to the location indicated in the photo. Upon entering the building, Jason discovered his captor was the chief of a desert tribe. The chief said he was an oil tycoon in the desert. Someone killed his 3 sons in a battle for power. Now only his youngest son remains by his side. To avenge his sons, the chief needed a top assassin, so he had Jason's friend Nick captured, and threatened Jason to eliminate the killers. The killers were 3 members of an elite Air Force unit. Jason needed to film them confessing before killing them. Once the mission was completed, not only would Nick be released, but Jason would also get $6 million as payment. To save Nick, Jason had no choice but to agree, but he asked to visit Nick first, so the chief had his men take him to a small dark room, where he was able to see his old friend. Jason didn't waste time with pleasantries. Instead, he wanted to get Nick out of there. He asked the guards to bring him a cup of tea, taking advantage of their distraction. But just as he kicked the door open, the chief's youngest son appeared, along with 2 armed bodyguards. With no other option, Jason reluctantly agreed to carry out the mission. He has already taken out the first target. Now he just needs to eliminate the remaining 2. To finish the job quickly, Jason called in a few friends for help. After his friends did some digging, Jason learned the second target's name is Tom, and he's currently undergoing the military's devilish training. With this information, Jason quickly came up with a plan. Never seen a delivery guy with such principles. His clients are either robbers or thugs. The agreed total weight of the 3 people was 254 kilograms. Even with a gun to his head, he wouldn't change. The shock absorbers he preset couldn't shake off the police car. The robbers planned to let Jason drive after taking care of him, but they didn't expect the car's central control had a startup password. Only Jason could drive it. Time was running out. The man couldn't take it anymore, and decided to kill. But the one who died was an extra thug. They threw the body out of the car. That's when Frank told them to fasten their seatbelts. The next second they were speeding down the street, turning corners, going up the stairs. Jason's driving skills were on full display. With police cars surrounding them from every direction, Jason kept flooring the gas pedal and trying to escape. But then a sanitation truck blocked them on the bridge. The police surrounded them with guns drawn, but Jason didn't care at all. He slammed the gas pedal. The rear tires screeched and smoke billowed. Just then a trailer truck passed under the bridge. It was the perfect moment. Jason hit the gas and landed smoothly on the trailer. The police were still hot on their tail. Then Jason borrowed a gun from the robbers, shot off the parking brake handle and let the car slide into the lane. He then reversed down, and hit the gas again to weave through traffic. Finally, using a light rail train as cover, they lost the police. They reached the mountaintop as agreed. The trip was nerve-wracking but safe. The robbers praised Jason's driving skills, and offered him double the payment. They asked him to drive them south, but Jason had his principles. He took the agreed-upon payment and refused the rest of the job. The next day the news reported 4 robbers had robbed a bank. 1 was dead outside the bank. The other 3 were captured this morning. They crashed into a taxi while making an illegal turn. 2 million euros worth of bonds were recovered. Then the local sheriff came by. He had a good impression of Jason, probably because he used to be a special forces soldier. The sheriff said there was a robbery in the city yesterday. The robbers were driving the same car as Jason. He had to suspect him, but after looking around he found nothing unusual, so the sheriff left with his tail between his legs. Later that night Jason got another job. The package was 50 kilograms. The destination was 24 Luxembourg Street. The distance was 250 kilometers. Before the employer could say the recipient's name, Frank immediately stopped him. Rule number 2. Don't mention names. The pickup time was 7 in the morning. The payment was 40,000 euros. They agreed and burned the notes, making sure no evidence was left. The next morning at 7, Frank arrived at the pickup point on time. A man brought a package. He loaded it into the trunk and began working, but midway one of the rear tires popped. Frank took off his jacket, opened the trunk to get ready to change the tire, but then he noticed the package was moving. The man was just a driver, but every day he counted money until his hands itched. So much money it filled up a giant refrigerator. But who would have thought that such a wealthy person had been a homeless man begging for survival just the day before? And the reason he had achieved so much now was because of 2 small-time thugs? That night the man who had been wandering the streets for over a year was resting in a makeshift shelter made of cardboard, with his companion who he relied on for survival. But suddenly a loud noise from outside woke both of them from their sleep. They crawled out of the cardboard to check, but what they didn't expect was that even they at the bottom of the social ladder would have to pay protection fees to these thugs. And the harsh reality was that the years of living on the streets had worn down their sharp edges, so they could only let themselves be controlled. But what went too far was that after taking what they wanted, the thugs tried to assault the man's female companion. So when the thugs were distracted, the man Jason slipped into an empty house nearby. For the first time in over a year, Jason looked at his worn-down face in the mirror and was plunged into deep memories. Jason had once been a special forces operative. He had witnessed 5 of his comrades comrades die right in front of him. Blinded by anger, Jason executed the enemy who had already surrendered, and to escape punishment, he fled the military tribunal. From then on he became a nameless drifter, but that impulsive act left him with serious mental trauma. Just as Jason snapped out of the painful memories, he picked up a pair of scissors to trim his thinning hair. Staring at the familiar face in the mirror, it was as if Jason had made a decision. That day Jason was working in a Chinese restaurant when his boss called him to handle a troublemaker. When he saw the rowdy customer, Jason only needed a few words to kick them out of the restaurant, but as he handed back the scarf, the customer lashed out, cursing and provoking him. Jason didn't want to cause any trouble, but the customer kept pushing, wanting to fight, and in the next second, Jason's swift movements caught the boss' attention. Soon Jason became a bodyguard and driver. Then Jason received his first real job. At first the client wasn't too happy, cursing and ordering his men to teach Jason a lesson, but as expected Jason took care of it easily. As time passed, Jason's money kept piling up, but looking at all that cash, Jason didn't feel the joy most people would expect. The only time he felt a little happiness was when he chatted with the nun, but then that beautiful moment was interrupted by the nun bringing some harsh news.